Welcome to the RockStar in Life podcast, where you learn the secrets to unleashing your inner rock star so you can make the world your stage.
Hey, fellow rock stars in life, Dr. Dan here, and I've got with me
Siri Shakti. Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Yeehaw!
Oh God, now I'm a cowboy.
Nice.
How y'all doing? I think that might be the first time I ever said that.
I don't know. I did that once when I was speaking on stage. I think it was like one of the first times, if not like maybe the second time I was speaking at a hotel in front of, I don't know, like maybe 30 people at one of those events we did like in the beginning like years ago. And I remember I caught myself. I was like, how y'all doing? It was like a nervous thing. And and I felt so dumb in my head. I'm like, what am I, a cowboy? I think I might even said that out loud. How y'all doing?
I'm just going to say that from now on because it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, when I said it, it wasn't too cool. At least here, the silence just means they can't respond.
Yes.
But at the event, I got to see their faces and no response to the joke that I made of, oh, I'm a cowboy or something. Yeah.
So you basically saw instantly that you were kind of dumb.
Yes. Yeah. No, I got that reaction right away. So yeah, that was fun.
It's okay.
All right. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about loving your family and choosing your friends.
That's right.
This is a very, very important one. They're all really important, but this is one of those that we're just like, wow, we finally get to this one because this is important.
Yep.
Right?
Well, yeah, it has to do with who you surround yourself with, which we'll be getting very deep into today and how important that is.
Yeah, we like to call it, how's your social diet?
Right.
Yep. So how's your social diet? So ask yourself that question. How is your social diet? I've heard this said several different ways, and I have no idea. I just did a quick search to see if I could figure out who's the first person that said this, but I've heard it said several different ways, and to some people it might mean something different when they hear it. But one of them I heard was like, if you wanted to find out somebody's financial wealth or success, all you had to do was take the average income of the 5 closest people or friends or family that they surround themselves with, and you would find out what it was.
Right.
You took the average of that. And I've heard it several different ways. I remember the first time I heard it, I thought it just had to do with money, financial success. And I've heard people say it that way as well. I know I went back and I was surprised because I found Jim Rohn's quote, and that might have been one of the first people we heard it from, or the first person. For those of you who don't know who Jim Rohn is, he's passed away now, but he was an author. He's actually Tony's worked for him early on. So when he was first starting out, a lot of the big names attribute a lot of their success to him. He's listed as a motivational speaker, which I don't really like the whole motivational speaker, and we can get into that to another time, but we prefer self-development, working on one's development of themselves, right?
Yeah,
So,
we're not just trying to be motivated.
yeah, and that's another thing is we'll that'll be another lesson. It's not motivation, because we'll get into that for another episode. It's actually be unmotivated. And if you don't want to wait for that episode, you can go over to rockstarinlife.com and download the RockStar 45 Lessons to Be a Rockstar in Your Life and Make the World Your Stage book, because I have a short little lesson on that. So you can learn about that. I believe it's also in the Attract the Person in Your Dreams book too. I can't remember though. Might be in there as well. Anyway, so Jim Rohn said that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. I also saw that Tim Ferris, who wrote the 4-Hour Workweek, very popular book, recently said it as well in an interview for his newest book that he has coming out or came out. I believe it might have came out by now. But it's not just about financial wealth. It's also the wealth or health or your relationships, your spiritual happiness, health, wealth as well. I mean, that's all part of the wealth. It's not just financial.
Yeah.
How's your spiritual wealth, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's so funny that we're talking about this, because as you're bringing this up, I'm reflecting back to even before I learned this, because I've heard so many people say this, that the top 5 people influence you the most, that you hang out with. And I remember when I was in high school and, towards graduation as well, I said on the other podcast that I used to go to a lot of like raves and things like that. And although I had so much fun, it wasn't really the best and healthiest surroundings for me. And so before I even knew this lesson, I started to become aware of it because I started to get this feeling like I wanted to make some changes, real positive changes in my life. And I had to take a step back and take a look at who I was surrounding myself with. And although they were friendly, loving people, I knew for myself that if I was going to continue hanging out with that group, I was going to continue doing those things that I was trying to step away from. And that's exactly what we're talking about right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll give some examples in a little bit as well. But one thing I want to kind of point out is if you guys have seen that movie, The Cooler, it's in what was it, 2003. It was a movie. William H. Macy plays in it, the guy from Fargo, and and they really have these out there in the casino. So in the movie, if somebody's on a winning streak and they're making money, the house, the casino will actually send like this person that just has like the worst luck in the world, and they'll just stand at the table and they'll like kill somebody's winning streak. I know some people, what they'll do as well is if somebody has a winning streak, they'll just like randomly, like all of a sudden change dealers, and that will kill the winning streak as well. I mean, there's many instances of this, which is pretty crazy. I don't know did you ever see that movie? I can't remember if you saw it.
No, I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's pretty old movie, but it's pretty good. If I remember correctly, it's been a long time. But I'll give you an example in one of my platinum trips that I took in Monaco. And we went to the Monte Carlo Casino. If you guys have seen like any of the James Bond movies, and several of the movies, the casino was in there in Monte Carlo, as well as Ocean's 12. It was in that movie as well. Now we had like 15 or 20 of us. It was somewhere around there, and we were all going in there, and we just got done, just having this really positive event that we were in. And we were talking about, it was actually around the time of the Law of Attraction. I think it was like 2006 or something like that, when the Secret book came out, the book The Secret.
Oh yeah.
And I remember we were like, they were showing like examples, and we had one of the people from The Secret, from the movie in there, and he was talking about like the quantum physics and stuff like that, and I thought it was really cool. So they were talking about like vibration. You could change a vibration. When you change a vibration, that they would look under like I guess like a microscope or whatever it is they use to look at it, and they would see that things would change. So we were like, hey, let's go in here to this to this casino, and let's play craps, and let's like have this positive energy while we're in there. Let's just have this vibrant positive energy and have this vibration going through us, and let's all be like that, right? So every time we were going to roll the dice, and I think that was the first time I had ever played. I had never gambled really. I mean, I've played slot machines and stuff like that, just here and there, but we were just like all having fun, and they were like, yeah, play. So we were all taking a turn and rolling the dice. And I remember like each roll we would stop, and we would sit there and just give this positive energy. And the place wasn't very busy. I think it was a weekday maybe. But you got to understand that it's really quiet in there. And they were just looking at us really weird, because we would all take time before we'd roll the dice. So they were just like checking us out, like, what the heck's going on? I saw them, like the pit boss or whatever they call him there was like talking to I don't even know if you call it a dealer, but the guy that had the dice and moved them over to you and took the bets and stuff. So we put out this vibration, and we'd roll the dice. And then every time we'd win, we'd be like, yeah. Also, I don't know. I was told that in Monaco, because it's like this really beautiful, like elegant place, and you have to like be dressed up, and you can't wear jeans or stuff like that. I was told that you're not supposed to, it's not like Vegas. You can't go, yeah, you're supposed to be quiet. That's what I was told, at least. So I don't know if that's
you guys
still
were
the case.
Breaking the rules.
We were breaking the rules. And, but here's the funny part, right? So So we also decided, well, if we're going to put out this positive vibration, well, what if every time we roll, we crap out or whatever they call it? I don't even know if they go craps out or crap out, but every time we'd roll, like, what is it? The ones and is it a 1? Yeah, it's a 1 and a 7 or something like that. I don't know. Whatever the thing is you're not supposed to roll, right? Snake eyes or whatever else you're supposed to roll, right? I think you're supposed to roll 7 and 11 every time, right? If you want to win.
I have no clue. So
all right. Well, as you
I've
can
never
tell,
played.
I've played a couple times with friends and stuff, but as you can tell, I've not committed to memory because I don't play often. So anyways, so we decided, well, let's keep this positive energy going, right? Because as soon as you lose, people are just like all feeling depressed, and then you keep that negative energy going. So we're like, hey, we told each other, we're like, let's celebrate every time we crap out. Every time we lose, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate all of our wins, right? So we keep that positive energy going. But man, I wish I had this on video. They don't allow video inside, obviously. But man, as soon as we crapped out for the first time and we rolled that bad roll, right? All of a sudden we were like, yeah, like even louder than we did when we were winning. And the pit boss guy or whatever you call it, and the guy next to him that's rolling, they freaking jumped. Like they were just scared and startled because they might have been used to people like celebrating when they won and they tell them to hush down, but to not expect somebody to like go, yeah, when they lost every single time. So they're having a good time. So anyways.
Well, and it wasn't just one of you, it was that group energy. It was all of you together, which made it even more of a shock.
Yeah. Now we, they actually had, and I know some people would be like, oh, well, that was just luck or whatever. And, you can call it whatever you want, but, we played for, I want to say like an hour, might have even been longer. And we all like left with way more money than we went in with. Like every single one of us won, and they had changed dealers. They had, switched them out. I don't remember how many times. I mean, they had probably 2 or 3 at least changes, and they were trying to break our winning streak, and we just kept winning, It was pretty damn awesome. So for us, we were convinced. We were like, yeah, we did it. But anyway, so you could feel the energy, right? You could feel the energy, and you could put out those energy, and so we had to take a look in our own lives. Now I'm talking about us. We had to take a deep look into our own eyes and see. We had to kind of do our own little house cleaning, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had to look at who are the people that we're hanging out with, and are they a positive influence or are they a negative one? Are they a what we call a spiritual vampire? Do they help give us energy, or do they take it away? It was as simple as that.
Yeah, and we're not talking about, because I know when I took a look at who was in my direct social influence, a lot of these people were, like I said to you before, they're very kind, loving people. We're not talking about that. We're talking about where are they at in their life and what kind of influence are they having, or how are they showing up in the friendship with you? Because somebody can be really nice and friendly, but when you're with them, it may not be the healthiest relationship that you need at that moment in your life to bring you to the next level of growth that you need to be growing into.
Yeah, if you take a real look inside and you ask and you just answer that simple question, do they help give me energy, positive energy? Do I feel good being around this person, or do I feel worse? Yeah. Do I feel like the energy is being sucked out of me? And again, this is not to be confused with because, I don't think this would be for you guys, but, for some people, they hang around us, they will feel exhausted sometimes because they have to be real.
Yes.
And that might be exhausting for them because they're trying to either prove themselves or whatever they're doing internally, which isn't bad. It's internally, it's something they need to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. I have seen that happen before, where we spent some time with someone and maybe they wanted to go deeply into this like negative place of talking about what they're going through, and we wanted to help them find solutions.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how our brain works now. It didn't always, being totally honest. But now when I'm going through something, or when Dan's going through something, we automatically go to solution. Let's figure out how to make it through this. And so we have spent time with people that were like not prepared for that step yet. And that's perfectly fine. They're entitled to have the experience they need to, just like we had to go through it as well.
So you'll have people that will automatically remove themselves or hit a pause on your friendship or relationship in your life because of you moving forward on your path.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for them, it's too much work to pretend to be able to relate to you or to try and pretend like they're also on that same path. So some people might either remove themselves and you're not friends anymore, or you're just not, hanging out anymore. And some people will just kind of put a pause on it. And when I say pause, I mean, they'll kind of disappear for a while. They're maybe in a bad place and they don't want help. That's the big thing. Like, I'm not saying like abandon your friends or family.
No.
Help them, help them. And if they're not willing to accept that help, then that's a whole different situation. Your job is not to take care of them for the rest of their lives. Your job is not to call them every single day and say, how are you doing today? How are you doing today? How are you doing today? What can I do to support you? What can I do to support you? Every single day when they're not accepting your help and support, and they just want to talk your ear off about all the things going on and bad, or everything going wrong in their life, and how everybody is unjust to them, and how the world is going to crap and there's no solution. And, at some point, everybody's going to die. And,
yikes.
It sucks,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because in the title that we chose in Love Your Family, Choose Your Friends, when I first heard that title, the first thing I thought is I wanted people to understand, just like you said, Dan, that we're not telling you not to hang out with your family. That's not the point of this. But oftentimes, because we're born into these families and we have this feeling that we're supposed to spend so much time with family members just because we are family. And oftentimes we have relationships within family that are not healthy. And I can think of some, one in particular in my own life. I'm not going to name names, but this person, I went through years of dealing with a lot of struggle in our relationship. And I always felt like I had to go back to it because it was someone in my direct family. And I finally came to this point, I was like a wake-up call one day, where I realized that this relationship was causing me more harm and was causing a toxic reaction in my own world. And then it was making me struggle as a woman, as a wife, as a mother. So I had to take a break from that relationship. Or maybe it's just taking a look at the relationship and saying, I need to spend a little bit less time, have a little bit more boundaries with this person.
And I'd love to touch on that a little bit more too. And in a little bit, I want to definitely touch on that.
Okay.
Now, I'll even mention work, because fortunately for us, we don't work for anybody else. We work for ourselves, and I can choose who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with. Now, for some of you, you work at a job, or maybe you have you network, or you do something with other people that are pretty damn negative and you don't really like to be around them. So, you could limit the amount of time that you're around them, unless you're going to decide to quit. But here's the thing though, you quit, you go to another job, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to find somebody else, right? This is something you need to work through and get stronger at, so that way it won't affect you as much. Now, obviously, if you're going to go work for yourself, then that's a whole different case. But there's things that you can do, like limit yourself to being around those kind of people. And then you can also cleanse yourself of that negative energy, or those fang marks, right? So it's like putting mosquito repellent for those spiritual vampires, or I guess like spiritual vampire repellent, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You could put that on, and this goes for your family as well. You can do that as well, and so take a good look at your family and friends. And just keep in mind, just because you grew up with somebody as, friends, or if they're family, doesn't mean you need to hang out with them all the time, right? So remember to love your family and choose your friends, right?
Yes.
So you can't choose your blood family. You can't choose your blood family. I almost did it again. But you can choose your friends, right? And that's the whole point of that, right? So we're not saying to delete, those people from your life. We're not telling you to delete them from Facebook or social media or whatever you're on, but decide who is good for you and who is not, and who doesn't align with you, anymore with what's your mission, your path, some of the things that you want to do in your life.
Yeah, of course. And, when you are spending time with them as well, this is something that I know has helped myself, is I tended to, in my past, be a little bit naive when it came to what I should and shouldn't share with people. And so when you have to spend time with these people, just be very mindful of what it is that you're choosing to share with them. Maybe there's certain things that are not safe to share with them. Like, for instance, if there's like a new goal or something that you're working on, you wouldn't just open up and share everything with them, even though you might be excited about your new endeavor. Tread carefully, because they may not have the same feedback, the same opinion of it. And when you're working on something new and it's still in that baby phase, it's fragile, you don't want to get any negative feedback.
Yeah. Share it in a safe place.
Yeah.
It's like, for us talking about yoga, we wouldn't go into a McDonald's and just start talking to like random people about, isn't yoga great?
Right.
It's just not the place that you're going to get most likely you're not going to get any kind of support from that.
Like, pick and choose your conversations and
who you choose to talk to them with, now, as far as like, some of the things like, and I kind of mentioned social media and blocking people. Now, that is a good place because, that's the challenge, is like you in life, you choose who you talk to. Like when you get excited about a new venture or new business or, or yoga or what, health or whatever it is, you don't just start randomly calling people, off the top of your head that don't get excited about those kind of things. Now with social media, it's kind of taken a change because you get excited and you post something on your Facebook or, Instagram or somewhere, and all of a sudden your family and old friends that found you on there and friended you, all of a sudden they see it. And every now and then you might get like one or two people that constantly just like make a negative reply or comment or, something that you're just like, seriously, usually what I'll do is I'll delete those right away. Sometimes I'll even block that person. In some cases, if they're not like, constantly doing that, like if it's like maybe like once a month or once every other month, I might actually sometimes, choose that they don't get to see certain things, I have blocked family, that are really just a negative, influence on my life. And I'm just like, for right now, I love them. But for now, I don't want to see any negativity from them. And, hopefully later on they'll change and I can unblock them, doesn't mean I love them less. It just means I don't want to see that. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So another thing I want to mention too, is when you are sharing things that, is your passion. Like I said, whether it's like, for instance, Siri Shakti, if you want to talk about your passion of like, I love to paint, I love to draw, right?
Yes.
You're not going to share that with people that just don't get that and aren't going to give you that positive, reinforcement. You wouldn't talk to somebody, let's say you had an Uncle Gary. I don't even know if you have an Uncle Gary, but let's say...
I have an Uncle Gavin.
No, let's say Gary, okay? Shout out to Gavin, not Gavin. We're talking about Gary.
Okay.
Gary is a fake fictional person. So let's imagine Gary, you talk to him about your painting and all the cool stuff you're doing. And let's say he's the kind of guy that's like, well, how much money you making with that? You could be working, you could be working.
I've heard things like that before from certain family members.
Yeah. So if you hear that, should you go back and talk to Gary about your your artistic nature and the fun things that you're doing?
No.
Heck no. If somebody in your family or one of your old friends or whatever, in your social network or even at work, and they're like pro like public school and education of that kind.
Yeah.
And they think it's important for your child to be in advanced calculus for who knows why. I mean, do they even do that anymore? Do we even know what calculus is?
They do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I don't know anybody that uses calculus unless
they're like an engineer or something, or
I'm sure they use a calculator. I don't know. But anyways, what I was going to say was, this is actually a point, and it kind of came up to me when I was making my notes, was to not trying, in another way, don't try to convince the inconvincible.
Amen.
So what I mean by that is, and I'll give you an example first, just like if you had, let's say, two people and they're drowning in a lake and they're kind of on opposite sides. Now you have enough time to save one person. Okay. Now, who would you choose? And let me make it a little bit more simpler. Okay. Would you run to save the person that's yelling as they're drowning at you saying, if you swim to me, I'm going to drown you too. They're saying like, if you come in here, get near me, I'm going to drown you. I'm going to take you with me on purpose. I mean, you wouldn't want to, right?
No.
Of course not. No. So my point is don't waste your time and your energy trying to convince the inconvincible. So if you want to, and that's another way of saying, if you want to share something, your beliefs or your passion or your mission or whatever it is you want to do, don't get into a comment war or a talking war or whatever, trying to convince them and prove why you should be doing what you're doing. Right?
Yeah. Because
the amount of time you're wasting, with that person that's not gonna change their point of view, you could have been, helping those people that are raising their hand saying, I need your knowledge. I need your help. I want to see what you're doing. I want to be inspired by you or whatever it is. Right? Yeah. So you don't want to do that. Can we agree on that?
We can agree.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yes.
All right. Is there anything you want to touch upon that? Because I was going to talk about, where to find some of these people. And, for me, so I take that as a no, right? Okay. That's fine. So where to find them? So for me, I mean, I'm sure there's some things that maybe either you can come up with or, you listening can probably come up with some other ideas as well. But, you could look online. There's lots of social media groups. There's local groups. I know Meetup was pretty big. I don't know how big it is anymore. I know like Craigslist and some other sites, and depending on what country you're in, there's lots of places that you can go and look. You can, look at bulletin boards locally, stuff that you enjoy, and, look for like-minded people, So let's say, for instance, one of your goals or one of the things that you want to do is you want to get into shape. You can join like hiking groups or healthy eating groups or yoga or meditation. Let's say you want to, start getting into athlete, right? Like, let's say for you, you're becoming a triathlon, right? Yeah. Triathlete. Would it make sense for you to go to, 24-Hour Fitness and join a class on rubber band training?
No, I'd want to look up groups online, because they do have local groups for triathlons, and you can like meetup groups even, and they have open water swims, and I'd go to one of those.
Or a bike shop.
That's
how you met some people too? That specialize in that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually,
REM
when I got
whatever,
my bike, I met so many people. Yeah.
Yeah. Or do your first contest.
Yeah.
Do you call it a contest?
A race.
A race. Do your contest. Do your race.
Okay.
Right. So do a race. If for you, and here's the thing though, when you do those things, you can find some really cool people,
Yes,
that have a lot of the same similar interests as you as well.
It is so true. I mean, I have heard so many people say, and this goes for even like relationships. They say, I don't know where to meet people, or, let's say they're like a single person. They want to find someone. I always say to them, what are you interested in? Okay, go sign up for some things that, or go to this, go to that. I guess the way my mind works is it just makes sense that if you want to meet someone that's interested in the same things that you're interested in, you go to those places where those people will be. I mean, it's kind of like makes sense. And, what I just thought of, the two places that I went to that inspired me the most, and I met so many people that are now in my direct circle of influence, of friendship, is when I went through my Kundalini Yoga teacher's training and also my triathlon. So with teacher's training, I mean, you're talking like, I think there was like 60 or 70 people in my class. It was a pretty good sized class at Yoga West. And I mean, every day you felt so uplifted, that collective group, because you could feel in the room that you were surrounded by people that had this common thread of purpose. And that was one of my first times of really getting this sense of like, okay, these are the types of people that I want to hang out with. Like, these are the people I want to handpick to spend a lot of time with, because I felt so inspired around them. And then the same thing when I went to my races, the energy, I mean, of course, on race day, there's going to be an awesome energy because everyone's like hyped up and just focused and ready to go. But the people that I met there, they had that common thread of like wanting to better themselves physically, mentally. And I met some great friends there that I talk to all the time. And we even, we're going to be doing some training together this season to get prepared for this triathlon. So this is exactly what we're talking about, is getting out there and going to places that you are going to find those people that have the similarities or that are doing the things that you're interested in.
Yeah, no, I met a lot of your, the people that you were, doing teachers training with as well. And
yeah.
That was really, really some great people.
Yeah.
And I actually remember you came home one day and you're just like, hey, guess who I just partnered up with at teachers training at, Kundalini teachers training at Yoga West. And I was like, who? And you're like, Trinity from The Matrix,
yeah.
Carrie Ann Moss. Actually, Carrie Ann Moss, right? That's how you say her last name.
It was so funny too, because I was talking to her for like an hour and it didn't even hit me who she was until all of a sudden we were sitting there in this small group and we were sharing things, and all of a sudden a little light bulb went off. I'm like, I know this woman.
Yeah,
I've seen her.
That's crazy because, you always watch like Chocolat a lot.
Chocolate.
Yes.
Chocolate. Love chocolate.
And you didn't even recognize her, but that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she was in there as well. And there was just a lot of amazing people in there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. So as far as, I wanted to mention as well, is you can go to like events too. So like if your thing is like marketing or entrepreneurship or something like that, there are events like all over the world going on.
Of course.
And you can find one of those and you can meet some really cool people there. I remember there was some events that I had been to for entrepreneurs and startups and things like that. And I met some really cool people that were also, into bettering themselves as well. And that's really cool. And then there's also self-development, events, seminars, like you could always go to one of those and you can meet some people as well. Now, I will give you a little warning here. We kind of mentioned this a little bit ago, but, just be careful just because, someone is at an event or has a similar interest or whatever that you're doing. It doesn't necessarily mean, especially like in self-development events and stuff that, seminars, it doesn't mean that they're on the exact same path as you. Yeah. They might be just starting their path. They might be tipping their toe in, and they're just not fully committed yet to actually jump in. So all of a sudden, you're thinking like, oh, this person also has same, values and beliefs and, and they also want to better themselves. And all of a sudden it can go negative real quick. I mean, we met some people that were kind of like, ooh, get away from them. They're a little crazy.
Oh yeah. I remember, I've heard many stories, even like in the yoga community, I mean, most times when you meet people in the yoga community, I mean, it's this great experience, but you have to remember everyone's going to be at different levels of development. So to try to, pay attention to what you're picking up from the person, and I don't know, I guess it's that subtle awareness that you start to get better at. I mean, I can tell you mine has improved quite a bit. It used to be pretty non-existent. And I think oftentimes I was maybe a little too trusting, right, Dan?
Yeah.
with people.
And I could always, I always like sense. Like,
yes.
It's like funny. Before they even talk, I could just feel it,
Yes.
And I'll just like, I'll just like walk away or tell you, be like, don't talk
yeah. Well, we've kind of even created a little pact between the two of us because I know that we all have strengths and weaknesses. And one of Dan's strengths is he is so good at picking up on people's real intentions and their character. And me, I just love everyone. So oftentimes I think in that spirit of loving everyone, you take people at face value. And I know so many women and men, but I know a lot of women that have told me the same thing.
Yeah. Well, you want to, how you say that? You want to like
expect the best out of people.
Yeah. You expect the best out of people. And I do as well. But I look at their true intentions.
Absolutely.
Like they say one thing, but they really, intend on something else. And I can kind of sense that, like where they're going with it. Or I just will cut through the crap and I'm not doing this in like a mean or a bad way.
No.
I'll just ask them, so what exactly are you saying? Are you saying that the world's going to end and that we have no hope and we should just give up now? And this is actually from a true conversation.
It is.
At a what was it? A
Thanksgiving event?
A Thanksgiving party that we were at. And, they got frustrated. They got angry and they just didn't want to really talk to me anymore. That's fine. I wasn't being mean. I just said, so what are you saying? I was like, we have no faith. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that's how it is, and I just, I'll politely, excuse myself which
you did,
or they just won't want to talk to me anymore. So,
they did.
Yeah. And I'm not mean about it, so I don't need to defend, me not wanting to be around that negativity. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to do it rudely, but I'm also not going to pretend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So unless there's something else you want to, like cover on that, I was going to jump into about the family.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Cool. So this is actually really important. That's why I saved this for last, was what do we mean about loving your family? Because, it can mean a lot of different things, right? So it means that if you have like a family member, like a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a cousin, or whatever they are to you, that constantly tries to make you feel like crap, right?
I think most people can relate to that in some way.
Yeah. So they're a spiritual vampire and they're always trying to get their fangs into you and make you feel that way. Now, first off, and in the past, you used to hate when I'd always say this to you. You're like, you'd say to me, you're making me, should I do a voice or no voice?
You can do the voice.
Okay, because you used to not like it. So here's the voice. You're making me feel like I'm dumb or something like that.
Wow, is that
right?
what I sound like?
A little bit.
Really?
I can't do your voice, sorry.
Shoot. I better work on my voice.
Yeah, so you're making me feel dumb,
I have never said that. I don't know what you're talking about.
So then what would I respond with?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? It's because you're on the spot.
Yes, don't do that to me.
That'd be better to say you're on the spot.
I'm on the spot.
Yeah. So I would say, here, I'll help you out here. Okay. I would say to you, no one can.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
No one can make you feel dumb except for yourself.
Well, I wouldn't say dumb but yourself.
Okay, no.
I said
no one can make you feel anything but yourself.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let me say right here so I can be totally open that in the moment when I would be frustrated with him, I'd be like, that's not true. That is so not true. You're the one that caused it. That's what I'm thinking, right? But truth be told, it is so freaking true.
Yeah. Well, good example of that. I was thinking about is we used to talk about, a gift, right?
Yeah.
Think of it as a gift, right? So if somebody hands you a gift and says, here's your gift. And then you say, no, thanks, I don't want this gift. And you hand it back to them. Who does that gift belong to?
Am I supposed to answer this question?
Yes.
It belongs to the person that tried to give the gift.
Yeah. And you didn't accept the gift. So it's the same thing as somebody, like saying something or whatever, whether it be negative, positive, or anything.
Yes.
If you don't accept that gift, if you don't accept that negativity or whatever it is, then it belongs to the other person. And another way of saying that is something that we're all taught, probably. At least I think we all are, unless they've changed it since we were growing up. But I'm rubber, you're glue. Anything you say bounces off me and sticks to you. Right? So it's kind of like the same thing. And then you end with a na, 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 na.
I actually just said that to the kids a few days ago when they were being buttheads. But
nice. So it works in parenting as well.
It does. It does.
Right.
It works.
So in other words, don't hold on to that anger, that toxicity, or anything like that. It's going to take some getting used to. I mean, it took you a good amount of time to finally accept that. And everybody's different. Some people might be able to get it, like that in a snap. And then some people might take, several years.
I'll tell you, I mean, even now I have to stop myself. If I'm feeling upset about something, okay, let's just say you and I, right? If there's something you're doing or have said that bothers me, what I've learned to do now, for the most part, I mean, I'm sure I have moments where I forget this, but is to stop, pause, and really consciously take responsibility for my own feelings. Because oftentimes too, I'm making it mean something.
Yeah. Well, the best thing you can do is actually, do a little meditation or something, or a breathing exercise to get yourself out of it. Or, another thing that we had learned was, change your state, right? But that's temporary. So I do recommend, the meditation or a breathing exercise or something that, that you can do to get through it. Mm-hmm. But, if you're like somewhere or, and you can't I'm trying to think of a place, if you're in a, I don't know, somewhere you can't, a funeral or something, and you need to change your state, You're
not going to yell out, I don't know, whatever you yell out.
And you're also not going to be breathing really in front of everybody.
Meditating in front of everyone, eyes closed.
Well, you could. I mean, if you're feeling a certain way and maybe that wasn't the best example. I was trying to look for an example that you needed to be kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And, and you couldn't really do anything. So, even closing your eyes and, I did this in the car we were driving. I was a little stressed out with the kids.
So you weren't driving when you closed your eyes, right?
No, I was driving, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You
used your powers.
I used my third eye to drive. No, so I closed my eyes and you were driving. I closed my eyes. I want to be very, before anybody calls the police on me or anything. So I closed my eyes and I did some deep breaths and, it wasn't loud or anything like that. And, and I felt better after doing that. I was feeling at peace.
Yeah.
So it's something you can do. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what I was getting to is that, and this is something that we learned, a little bit. I don't even think anybody told us this. We just kind of
figured it out.
Yeah. Figured it out because, so it was, with your family or even a friend or anybody that you feel has done you wrong, whether it's, somebody you work with or anything like that, right? Anything that you're holding on to this grudge or this, it could be just, right? They said something to you or they did something to you and, we'll stick to family member right now because it kind of fits with this, but you can use this in all parts of your life. When it comes to forgiving somebody, right? Because you don't want to hold on to that toxicity, right?
No.
So you don't want to hold on to toxicity. So you can forgive them, but it doesn't mean that you need to call them to forgive them. You don't need to call them or do lunch or something like that and be like, you know what, my ex-husband or my ex-wife or my ex, boyfriend or girlfriend or my dad or mom or brother or sister did me wrong. And I'm going to call them up and meet them for lunch so we can, bury the hatchet and
proclaim my forgiveness or, Yeah.
Yeah. In some cases that would fit, if it was like something like some kind of misunderstanding or it's time to move on and they weren't necessarily like, a repeat offender of negativity.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that constantly made you feel like crap and just, constantly tried to make you feel like crap, it was just so hard to have a relationship with them, and you're working on yourself and you can't waste your energy and your time on all that negativity.
Yeah, it's maybe not time to bring them back into your actual life because you're working on yourself. It's not going to better the situation. I'm sorry, I interrupted you though.
That's fine. Don't expect them to like, if you go to them and say, hey, mom or dad, or, I forgive you. Don't expect them to say exactly what you want to hear, which is, oh, thank you so much. I know I did some wrong stuff and, it was all me, or, I want to do better and, let's continue our relation. No, that's what I'm saying is you can do that, but don't get upset. Don't allow it to continue if they say anything else that you didn't want to hear, right? It might start again. Okay, well, thank you, but it's not only me. You admit it's you too, right? And you're just like, seriously, So you can let that happen, but that's the whole thing is like, after that, you can end the conversation and just say, you know what, for now, I just need my space or whatever. And internally forgive them, whether you decide to call them or not, or meet with them or not. The most important thing is that you forgive them within yourself. That's the only important thing.
Yes. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. And, I'm sure we've all had experiences of this, because oftentimes we're looking for someone to actually say back to us, I accept your forgiveness, or you want them to say, forgive me and take responsibility for their part. But a lot of times in these types of relationships, that's just not it's not going to happen. All right. And so the best thing to do is to go within yourself. And I know for myself, how I've addressed this is, I'm really big into meditating. So I've taken time to sit down and close my eyes and focus on the person, focus on what went down and the energy and all of the elements surrounding it. And piece by piece, consciously seeing it and releasing it. And this may take some time. I mean, I know for me, there's this one relationship in my family that was, that I talked about earlier, that was always very challenging. And that relationship doesn't feel challenging anymore, even though we don't communicate, because I have forgiven them. I have released them of any of the things that I felt that they did to harm me, or any, and I've actually forgiven myself, because it takes two to tango. So I know that I've had my own part in this as well. And it is so freeing when you can step back and do that, because you just feel like a weight is lifted from you. And that's the gift. That's the weight being lifted. Because when you lift that weight off, then it's like you're bringing back that energy that you gave them. And you're bringing it back to yourself so that you can use that energy in your life. And something I just wanted to mention. Recently, I learned about something. I went to a cranial sacral therapist, which is like light massage of the head and everything. It's like energy healing, really beautiful. And she told me about cord cutting. And this was my first time, and this makes so much sense. Whenever you meet someone, you instantly create an energetic cord with them. And for relationships that are real intense, or that you've had a real intense experience with, the cord is really energetic. Like there's a lot of vibration there. And so what you can also do is you can imagine this cord going between the two of you. And I've done this myself. And you imagine it, you giving their energy back and you taking your part of the cord back. And there's even beautiful guided meditations that work with this, that I've done a few of them, and I can tell you that they work, because you can feel the difference afterwards.
Well, I do remember, years ago, when I had one of my coaches, they actually had me go through that exercise when I was trying to get rid of this negativity. They're like, close your eyes and imagine you're chopping, these cables that are around you and all around you. So, yeah.
And it's not even it's not only people, it's like experiences too that you can do that with.
Exactly. Hey, I wanted to dive in real quick of what you were saying. You said you'd kind of mentioned it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
Right. So what did you mean by it takes two to tango?
What I mean is that in every relationship, there's two people. So there's always going to be two parts to the experience.
Yeah. So we're not saying, so just to be clear, because I don't want anybody to think like, oh, that means that you're at fault as well for something.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's not what I meant. I just meant that there's going to be two parts of the experience. And even if you have done nothing, there's still that forgiveness that you can grace yourself with of allowing yourself to be affected by that other person, to soften that.
Well, usually in their mind, there is something you did.
Yes.
And that's, and for them, it's real. And that's one thing to understand is that in most cases, and I can't even say in most cases, but I would like to hope in most cases that would be true, is that it was, their intent wasn't to, they didn't like go out saying like, oh, I'm going to like make my daughter cry on purpose. That's not their intent.
It's usually unconscious. Like,
and you know what it is it's like if you, trying to convince somebody that they're being, that what they're doing is wrong or whatever is like having somebody with red sunglasses on and looking up at the sky and you ask them, what color is the sky? They're not going to say blue. They're going to say red. Right? They're going to be like, it's red. And no matter what you say, but you've got glasses on. No, I don't. You've got glasses on. It's like turns into this big argument, and that's the argument you have is, and again, it goes back to stop trying to convince the, inconvincible.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'm saying is it's not as important for you to go to them and say, oh, I forgive you. Now say your piece so I can feel better too. Because in most cases they're wearing red glasses and it's not going to work. In some cases it does, and it's worth a try depending on, each situation's a little differently. But, and again, that's another thing is if, here's a good important point. If it's a family member or somebody that like really did something like horrific, and I don't want to give an example, let's say they did something horrific and they would not be a good, part of your life, like there's nothing to gain from it, then don't even attempt. I mean, I wouldn't even attempt to like have a conversation and forgive them or whatever, because in all likeliness, it's going to be bad or whatever, So but it's just getting rid of that toxicity and internally saying to yourself, or you could even say it out loud, I forgive you,
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Oh, there's so many things you can do. I've seen people, and I've done it myself, not for a while, but where you actually write down things on paper and the things that you want to forgive. And then you actually go outside and you burn it and watch it dissipate and feel that release as you do it.
You got that from the movie.
Which one?
The one with...
I didn't get that from the movie.
Oh, what's the Christmas?
I got that from myself.
What's the Christmas movie?
Burn
Your Grievances or whatever. Surviving
Christmas. Ben Affleck?
Yeah, Ben Affleck. Yep. He's in it. He goes out there and burns it and
burns his grievances, he says.
Yep, in front of his childhood home. And spoiler alert, he gets hit in the head from a shovel from
the owner of the house.
Yeah, Tony Soprano.
He thought he was trying to burn down his house.
Yeah. So spoiler. Sorry.
So maybe don't go out in front of somebody's house and burn a piece of paper. Just
exactly.
Do,
and make sure you do it in a place that's not flammable.
Not in an open, dry field in California.
Yeah, not in a wastebasket. Yeah, don't throw it out your car window or, do it in a fireplace.
Yes, disclaimer.
Do it there, right? Or in a fire pit of some sort.
Yeah.
So as far as, and one other thing I want to mention about that is, just because you put somebody out of your pause on a relationship or anything like that for now doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a forever thing. it can be a temporary thing, and and hopefully in the future things will change for them, or maybe you become stronger and
Yes.
you're able to have a limited relationship with them, or they turn around their life. And I've had that happen several times with friends and family, that I'm like, wow, they're doing a lot better, and they contact me, and I'm a lot stronger myself, and I can handle that now. And it's been pretty awesome. Right?
Beautiful. Yeah.
So before we get into today's RockStar mission, is there anything else you wanted to touch on that?
I think that's it.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we get into the RockStar mission, don't forget to download the free books, yoga, meditation videos, and a lot more. And to join the RockStar in Life revolution today, go to
RockStarInLife.com.
All right. Good job. You remembered it this week. All right. So on to the RockStar mission, if you choose to take it, and we hope you do.
Do it.
Write down at least 3 things, and you can write more if you like, that you want in the perfect friend, support buddy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Right? And also take a close look, a serious look at your current friends and family, and see which ones are supporting you and support your path, your mission, all the things that you want to achieve in your life, that you've got the right kind of people in your life that will be there for you. And if they're not the ones that will, then it's time to go out and love your family and choose your friends, right?
That's right.
So one thing I will recommend, though, is be careful. Don't write down on your list people that you don't want to be, that don't support you, and they're negative and stuff like that. I probably wouldn't put like family member or friends' names on a list unless you're going to make sure you throw it away right away.
Oh, gosh.
Because you don't want that to get out, because that could really hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
So
I
be
think
careful.
so.
And don't write your kids on there. Like, I don't like my kid. I don't like my son Bodie, and then he's going to see
He's
it and
very
be like,
negative.
"What?"
That's
Yeah.
no.
We do tell him when he's being negative. We say, you know what? You are being a spiritual vampire. You're not supporting us, supporting our dreams.
I
our
love it. You're
goals,
not
and our
supporting
path,
us.
Our path, and you're sucking the life and energy from us. And he just like listens. No, I'm not.
I'm like, believe me, in this moment.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I love you, but you are really bothering us. You're sucking the energy out of us. So can you
Get your act
please
together.
go do some deep breathing exercise or whatever you need to do, right?
Go outside and play and then feel better.
Yeah, everything an 8-year-old needs to hear, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's today's RockStar mission, is write down at least 3 things that you want in that perfect friend, and this will also give you the the opportunity of where to look for those kind of people.
Yeah. Maybe also they could write down after that. Here, I'm going to add more. I'm going to add more to your RockStar mission. Once you get that clear, you can even write down a few ideas of where you could meet these people. Where could you meet people like this? And just like the examples that we gave, there's meetup groups. There's all sorts of things. It depends on what it is that you're looking for.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for you. Don't forget to go to rockstarinlife.com to download the books, to join the RockStar in Life revolution today.
And to do some awesome yoga videos that we put on there, and keep checking back because there's going to be more added on. I'm going to try to get on there each week and add something new.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. That's all we got for you today. Remember to be a rock star in your life.
And make the world your stage.
Thanks for listening to RockStar in Life, your source for unleashing your inner rock star. For more tips, training, and free stuff, be sure to go to rockstarinlife.com and join the RockStar in Life revolution today. Thanks again, and don't forget to make the world your stage.